Check, check, check.
We're live.
All right, we're good.
Everyone's mic's good?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
All righty. Welcome back, everyone, to the Second Take podcast. My name is Casey Berger, and I'm joined by my co-host and our two special guests. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Alex. Happy to start a new year, and my good buddy right here.
Yeah, it's the other
Introduce
Alex.
yourself.
I'm back for the first time in a couple of months. It's good to be back. We're talking football today, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm Ryan, also returning for the first time in a couple months. A lot has happened since I've been on, so definitely a lot to unpack.
A lot has happened. And as you guys know, we are part of the Sports Business Association. And if you would like to get involved with the podcast or the blog, which our good friend Alex right here runs, please feel free to reach out to any of the three of us. And you can find that information from our link tree on the GWU SBA Instagram page or our website. And I think with that, we can get started because we have a lot to address. You know, it's been a couple weeks. There's been a lot of football being played, and, you know, chips are finally kind of are starting to fall into place here. So I think we can just go down the list. We could start with Rams-Panthers, which was a much more competitive game than I'm guessing a lot of people expected. I know their first matchup was close, but, you know, Panthers kind of limped into the playoffs. But I was, you know, impressed with what I saw.
Yeah.
Didn't pull out the win, but, you know, Bryce Young showed a lot, and I think it gave that fan base a little bit more confidence going forward for, you know, how much they've endured these past few years.
Yeah, I mean, as an objective NFL fan, you have to think this is like the most perfect possible outcome.
Right.
I mean, the Panthers weren't going to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah. This was kind of their ceiling. And to see them, you know, if things go as a lot of people are predicting them to be, if the Rams end up going to the Super Bowl and potentially winning it, as the Panthers, you get to, you know, go home at the end of the day and say, we gave the Super Bowl champions an absolute run for their money, and maybe this ends up being the closest team the Rams play in this playoff run. But yeah, I think they showed a lot of amazing things. I guess we could start first talking about the Panthers offense. Bryce Young played fantastic. You know, immediately after they picked up his fifth-year option, which is pretty clear sign, you know, he's not going anywhere. He'll get a massive extension this offseason likely.
Yeah.
A guy I'd like to talk about is someone who's been under the radar for a while because of injuries and also just because of where he was drafted. I don't know if he was like a fifth pick or maybe even undrafted. Jalen Coker, who has a lovely fan base called the Cokeheads. Just had.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
No
It's a bit of a cult following that I like to consider myself part of because he is just in last year he was just an insanely explosive threat. Mm-hmm. So I would love to know if you guys think there's maybe some trajectory here for Coker to grow into a wide receiver 2 role in this offense. Is he a fluke? You know, what are we feeling with Coker?
I wouldn't say he's a fluke, honestly. You know, you don't put up 9 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown in a playoff game if you're a fluke. And I think it gives them that confidence that they have, you know, that second guy on the outside who can complement Ted McMillan. I do think they really, really need to address the fact that they don't have a viable tight end option. Tommy Tremble is not that good.
Yeah. And
they don't have a guy in the slot. Xavier Legette sucks. He's also kind of an outside receiver, you know, he's a big body guy. They, you know, I think should make a push for maybe a guy like Wando Robinson in free agency. I think he would complement that offense well. And I think that, you know, Jalen Coker having that big game, like I said, gives them that confidence. They have that, you know, second guy on the outside that Bryce Young can look to. And, probably not look to Jimmy Horn anymore, considering he can't catch a damn thing.
Yeah. And, you know, Wando Robinson would be a great option. Thinking about some other guys, I think Isaiah Likely would be a really fun look for the Panthers. I believe he is, yeah. And regardless of whether he is or isn't, it looks like the Ravens have you know, they paid the guy they wanted. So a lot of interesting stuff here, but it'll be, I think, more important to touch on the Rams, who have much larger implications for the remainder of this playoff bracket. Stafford, 24 for 42. You know, completion percentage is very pedestrian here.
Yeah,
and you could tell the Panthers, you know, they're hosting a home playoff game. It's always such a disadvantage. They really got to him here, but you come out, Stafford, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, just another marquee performance for who would be my pick for MVP. I'm not sure exactly when they vote, but I know how the playoff occurs might have some implicit bias on voters. And I think if he continues to play the way he does, I think he might be walking his way into another, you know, hopefully a championship for him, as it might be, you know, his career's kind of winding down, but potentially, you know, an MVP here.
Yeah, he started that game 12 for 25, I believe, which wasn't great. Obviously, you know, his first 10 passes were pretty consistent, and then he had that little finger injury, and that something that made me a little bit excited as a Patriots fan, just knowing the Drake May, Matthew Stafford competition. Obviously, seeing, you know, All Pro coming out the other day makes me think probably they're going to go with Stafford. And either way, I think it makes sense. But I mean, my pick obviously is Drake May, but obviously, you know, there's some bias in that sense. And then I think, I mean, we can make predictions for future weeks, but I don't think it was that consistent of a showing overall by the Rams. I think they did having to squeak by the Panthers in the way that they did is slightly concerning. There are a couple balls that could have gone either way. Like if that interception that Puka broke up got caught, like we could be talking about the Panthers in the next round, for example. Or like, and I think the Rams there are definitely some holes that they've shown over the past couple weeks.
I think their offense just has like so many levels to it, honestly. Like this dual-headed backfield of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, who both didn't really have great games against the Panthers. 13 and 11 carries for 57 and 45 yards. I guess it's kind of a split backfield, so you can't really be expecting 100-plus yard outings. But, just being able to utilize those guys and have them not have a good game but still be dominant and be able to rely on your passing game. And Puka seeing 18 targets, Devontae Adams 13 targets. You have 2 tight ends who are capable at the short, mid, and deep routes. And, even though Stafford is not necessarily a scrambling quarterback and they don't really have that, aspect to their offense, you can rely on all these weapons and continue to put together good performances and, push towards that potential MVP winning.
Yeah, I think speaking to that, I'm happy they finally went with a split backfield. I personally think Blake Corum is better than Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams does not do anything that impresses me on the football field. He doesn't. I mean, look, Blake Corum's a hard runner. He can, shed tackles. Kyron Williams is a small guy who's frankly not that elusive for most other running backs his size. He just happens to be in a good system where he can put up numbers and people are like, oh, he's so good for fantasy. He's an Austin Eckler clone. He's not that skilled. He just happens to be in a good situation. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm thinking that we're kind of seeing a little bit of a changing of the guard, and I'm hoping, because I'm a big Blake Corum truther, that he'll finally get those backfield touches going forward. And I think this is a good showing from the Rams, but I was a little bit concerned with how the Panthers were able to apply pressure on that defense, especially in that, when they're running the 2-minute drill, they're able to kind of just rattle plays off and just run down the field on them. And, it really just highlighted how when Stafford does not have a clean pocket, he's going down. Can break a drive if they get 1 sack on any possession just because he's not moving out of that pocket. And most of the time he doesn't need to, but there's some good defensive fronts left in these playoffs. Bears are not one of them, luckily, but they could see some trouble down the road if they get past them.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's for me personally, it's hard to put a lot of credence into how you win playoff games. It's at the end of the day, you win or you lose, and you go to the next rounds or you go home. So that doesn't mean you still can't look at the Rams' flaws here. And obviously, that Stafford finger injury, something to watch, because if he can't conduct your offensive system, we've seen him what we've kind of beat around the bush here is that if the Rams can't play their way of football on offense or defense, they kind of start to crumble. But as long as they're able to, keep that system going, they're terrifying. And to think that Puka, dropped what would have been a walk-in touchdown and made a lot of mistakes in this game and still looked so undeniably good. Like he's playing like the best receiver in football right now.
He has some of the best hands.
No one's playing at his level, even close to it, at this exact moment. And I think that's going to be enough. My preseason pick for the Super Bowl was the Rams. I'm still riding with them. And honestly, this game could have been this game could have gone to overtime and the Rams squeak out a win. And I'm still not moved off their odds to win a championship.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think we can transition that into our discussion of Bears-Packers, and then we can recoup, kind of see where we think the consensus is with Bears-Rams. I mean, what a comeback. That was a generational game, one of the best playoff games I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
I thought they were dead in the water, but you just cannot count this team out. That's their, 7th, 8th win when they're trailing in the final 2 minutes of the game. That is just such a ludicrous, insane stat. I mean, Ben Johnson's calling plays out there like he's playing Madden for the first time. He is just pulling out everything in his bag, and there doesn't really seem to be an end to that bag. I mean, he has so many good plays they can call up at any time. He's calling on all of his playmakers. It's just, it was such an impressive showing.
Yeah.
I think even with the doubts of them being down 3 scores or 2.5 scores against the Packers, I still thought this team was going to pull it out. There are certain teams that just have this magic just in any sports, and they just keep winning despite people, doubting them. And we talked before the podcast started about Indiana. They're kind of being the Indiana of the NFL right now. They just kind of win no matter. I mean, it's not like they're undefeated like Indiana is, but at the same time, they just are pulling out wins. And if you might say that's not sustainable, but it is being sustainable. They keep winning no matter what, and they just kind of have a clutch gene, I guess, in that sense. So I feel like this doesn't really seem like the end for the Bears, and you could see them getting into a close game with the Rams, and the Rams having to sweat it out. I mean, the Bears scored 25 of their 31 points in the fourth quarter, and it's they just keep pulling it off, and I think this good good, better, best? Better, best Bears team, if we can call them that. They're just special.
Yeah, this one hurts me because I was so resolute, as I am with many of my incorrect takes, that the Bears were going to lose this game. And for 80% of it felt like I was going to end up being right. Because the way the Bears are winning, it feels so unsustainable, because it is. And then what we've seen in recent histories, every year there's a maxed out, non-regression to mean team that wins like 8 one-score games and has a record way higher than I believe they deserve. Even though the Bears finished 11-6, it wasn't like the Vikings last year went 14-3. I could not believe that they did this in the playoffs.
25 points in the fourth quarter.
This is unbelievable.
Oh my God.
It leaves me speechless. I don't mean to do that for drama, but I truly cannot believe they managed to pull that up. And the Packers, we can have our reservations with them. I don't think they were going anywhere this year's playoffs, but I just cannot believe they managed to do that. And now all bets are off. They've proven they could do it in a playoff game. Who's to say they can't do it against the Rams?
Yeah, it's so interesting to see it, like, almost a generational Packers collapse. It kind of leaves.
I love it. I love it.
Especially talking to a friend of ours that was a Packers fan yesterday. He was like, I expected to get blown out, but it almost hurts more to lose in such spectacular fashion like they did. And it kind of leaves you wondering, like, where do the Packers go from here? I mean, there's talks about they might get rid of LaFleur, whether that's trading him or firing him. I mean, you have Jordan Love, who you've committed to being your franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future.
He played a great game.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Jacobs going to be your guy at the running back position for the foreseeable future, and then you just have kind of a collection of receivers who are good, but
pretty good,
but not outstanding. Jaden Reed, Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Christian Watson. You have a great, when healthy, a great tight end duo of Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. So I would say the tight end's not the issue here, but you're trying to, maybe they are trying to figure out how do we move pieces to get our guy at the wide receiver position, or who can emerge as that guy. In my opinion, if I had to pick one of the 4 who I think could stand out and be the guy going forward, I would say Christian Watson.
He's nice. He's
big
really
difference maker coming back off of injury, saved my fantasy season from getting last place. That was huge for me. But yeah, I mean, like Dobbs, Golden, Jaden Reed, I mean, good pieces, but you're not expecting them to carry the load, especially when you have Jordan Love slinging the ball. I mean, you've got to have someone to be able to go to on every down.
Yeah, I think 2 things that I saw. One, look, Jordan Love played a great game. Mm-hmm. I don't think he has a Super Bowl in him, honestly. I mean, look, he played outstanding, but, when that game was coming down to, the final seconds, when it really mattered, he put up 6 points in the second half. He took 2 really bad grounding penalties that really set them back, cost them 2 drives. Yeah. He makes some ill-advised throws. And look, he has all the talent in the world to succeed. I just don't know if the decision-making is there, and he's going into, year 7 now? Mm-hmm. Year 7 next year? Year 6? I don't know. Look, they have time. They have playmakers on offense. Yeah. I think the only thing that you need to address is getting a number 1 guy at receiver. Like Walker said, they have 4 guys who can all, be a good number 2 on any team. And I know you were gassing up Christian Watson. I don't think of him as highly, also because him saving your season cost me mine, so I'm a little bit salty about that. And I've never actually thought he was all that good. But, he's impressive. But, I mean, he's not getting you more than, 5 catches a game. You're getting him on some deep balls, but that's about it. He stretches the field, but who's that guy getting the intermediate catches? Yeah. Romeo Doubs had a good game, but where are these guys when the game is, really coming down to the wire? You get outscored 25-6 in the fourth quarter. You're clearly lacking something. You don't have that guy you can go to like the Rams have with Puka Nacua. When they're in a hole, they throw a slant to Puka. Most of the time it works. All these teams, you have someone you can go to. And while the Bears don't have that, they just happen to have the best offensive minds in all of football, maybe besides McVay.
Right.
And Shanahan, he's in that category of coaches. Mm-hmm. LaFleur's not there. And, at the end of the day, something has to give. This is multiple years in a row where the Packers have come much short in some sort of, fashion where it leaves all the fans heartbroken. You got to look at the offensive coordinators. You got to look at the coach. And I think it's very unlikely they fire LaFleur. But, I mean, what's going to give? This is multiple times now. This has happened under his watch, and just give some questions about the coaching staff. I think that there's things that need to be addressed in that locker room, in that whole organization, that I don't think they're willing to, and I think it's going to lead the Packers kind of being stuck in this hole of being one of those middle table teams in the NFC for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you guys said. I think the Neve and Alpha, we've talked about that a lot on this pod, Casey. It's about having a guy you could turn to. They still have guys I love. I love Christian Watson. Jaden Reed when he plays as a baller. I still love Matthew Golden to death. He had his first touchdown in this game.
He played
honestly,
great.
he was clutch.
He
and
played
I would love
outstanding.
to see him get more touches, especially the rich position he was drafted at for the Packers. It was not a position of need, and they didn't use him as they should. And Romeo Doubs was so clutch this game. They've got a lot of nice young guys, but they've got to find that center threat, or at the very least find like a jump ball guy. Someone that contrasts. You have all these like explosive playmakers. It's just all players of the same variety. I think the Packers, like you said, Casey, they just got to, if they want to succeed, they got to break out of this mold. And speaking of a team that needs to break out of the molds,
Eagles.
Our favorite, Ryan and I.
Eagles.
Our favorite team. Casey was just overjoyed. We won't spend too much time on this one. There isn't much.
We got time.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you want to.
we got time. We got time.
I mean, I think most Eagles fans would love to join you, Casey, in trash talking this team.
I mean, look, I have so much pent up frustration over these past couple weeks about how the Jets have been getting treated with the media, with people going out and telling Dante Moore, stay at Oregon, you don't want to play for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams throwing shots at the Jets in their post game interviews for no reason, like no reason at all. They don't need to do that. It's just there's Jets hate everywhere, so I'm going to spread that hate on you guys. First of all, Juwan Jennings had more passes over 15 air yards than Jalen Hurts did the entire game, and I'm not saying that that's Jalen Hurts' fault, but his deep ball didn't look outstanding, and the play calling was not there. I'm happy you guys fired Patullo.
Yeah.
He's not a good offensive coordinator. I mean, it was very predictable offense, the same way that, the Ravens are, I think, with, how Todd Monken, always runs on first down, takes Derrick Henry out on basically any passing play.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of variety with your guys' play calling. And I know how much you hate Todd Monken. I'm sure you can speak a lot to your issues with Patullo as well. I think Saquon played a good game. I'm happy they, try to get him going a little bit more. And I don't think this game highlighted many other issues outside of offensive play calling on the Eagles side than, fans maybe stating, at least from my point of view, from a non-fan perspective. I do think that, honestly, like, when, it came down to, key third downs, like making sure you're getting in the end zone, I don't think that, you guys just didn't get those plays. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Last year, you guys were steamrolling everyone, and the close games you would have, kind of similar to earlier in the year, you guys would make those plays.
Find a way to win.
You just didn't find a way to win against the Niners.
It's tough. It's so hard to
smile.
It's so hard from a fan perspective because you kind of realize that, hey, you have a window. I mean, granted, we did win the Super Bowl last year, so there's not a lot I can truly complain about. Mm-hmm. But you do understand that every season's a new season, and there is a defined window where you're going to have these arguably the best offense in terms of just threats, like individual threats in the NFL. So to not be able to put it all together when it really matters is kind of the most hurtful thing. The one thing I want to touch on, you said you couldn't really find any other like defining problems. I think the defining problem that is one of the most biggest issues we need to address this season
AJ
is
Brown can't catch football.
AJ Brown
Can't catch football. I was thinking about that too.
You can't catch a football, and Devontae Smith dropped a crucial third down ball. So it's like you're having an issue when we're calling your name in the clutch, you can't make the play, and then you see you're fighting with Sirianni on the sideline. You're complaining, and then he barely had any targets in the whole second half. So it's like it's just a system that you cannot sustain with a wide receiver who's clearly unhappy with his production, and then you say, here's the production, and then you don't deliver. It's tough. It creates toxic environment in the locker room as well, especially in the middle and early of the season when whole saga was going on, and we put up a dang positivity rabbit in the locker room. It's like, what are we doing?
That was AJ Dillon.
So it's like, just you got to figure out
positivity rabbit.
And it's tough because it's not Darius Cooper that's having issues. It's not Will Shipley that you're having issues. It's supposed to be your go-to guy.
Yeah.
And that's a issue that if you can't figure out in the locker room and with your players in your team, you got to move on from him and get rid of him. And the window for that is obviously also ticking.
Just as long as he's not a Patriot. I've heard a lot of those rumors that for years as well that he wants to be a Patriot. But I think A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs being in the same wide receiver room would make a wide receiver coach go absolutely absurd. Josh McDaniels would not survive.
I have something to say on this. We need to make a very important distinction. Stephon Diggs is a criminal.
Stephon Diggs is a criminal.
Yes,
he should be in jail.
No, but they're both like personality issues. They would that they would demand targets. I understand Stephon Diggs does not deserve to be on the Patriots right now. We have a policy against criminal players, and now we have 2 of them underneath.
Who's the second?
Christian Barmore.
Oh,
we have 2 of them on the team, and it's just a shame on Robert Kraft's legacy because it comes from Myra Kraft. God rest her soul, rest in peace. That was their policy as an organization. They would not allow players who got involved in criminal stuff, and now they have two great contributors as well. And I think are we going to beat the Texans without them? I don't know, but
I mean, luckily that nothing's going to happen probably to the offseason, but Stephon Diggs actually might go to jail.
Yeah, I did not want Diggs in the first place, and I could tell it's a pretty consistent character.
He's a good. I mean, look, I feel like he's not out there barking for targets and complaining about his role. I feel like I've seen actually some pretty solid leadership out of him throughout the season. He does happen to be a criminal, but he cares about the team, so at least he got that going for him. Compared to AJ Brown, but
don't forget what he was doing on a boat before though.
Yes. I think that further confirms the personality thing.
Probably,
but people in and around the Patriots organization really like him. If you tune into any of the Boston sports radio stuff, that they cannot tell you enough about how much as in terms of just motivation to the Patriots team has happened.
But listen,
Diggs.
Let me say this before we move on to another game.
Because
there's a lot of kind of angles to this. So I'll start with my kind of concession, which is that AJ Brown should be so incredibly disgusted with his performance and quite frankly his attitude over the season. I think, when you beg the coaches to call your number and you don't deliver, that is an indictment on you. And while I've agreed with every complaint AJ Brown has had, basically every single one this entire season, this was truly unacceptable. Now, that is the concession part. And let me continue with what I truly think it is. So there's a couple of factors. Number one, as in any large city, the media is constantly trying to catch the players lacking. You want the biggest headline. That's what's going to draw people to your page. So especially with the Philly media, you could say anything. There were the most ludicrous of headlines. If you remember last year, Ryan, there were headlines that A.J. Brown and Brandon Graham weren't friends anymore.
Oh,
and we won the Super Bowl 2 months later.
Absolutely ridiculous.
It's
not friends.
The AJ Brown thing was so blown out of proportion. What it really was is, I personally think, I don't know him, he could be a terrible guy, but from the interviews and from the press conferences I've seen with AJ Brown, he seems like a good, down-to-earth person. And to me, these complaints, albeit they were very uncalled for and they hurt the team, they were cries for help about this offensive system, because let's just face it. Dudes were reminiscing about Brian Johnson, the Eagles OC during the collapse, and making sad montages. Bring me back to Brian Johnson, because of how bad Kevin Matula was. And the only reason that 2023 team was worse was because our defense was abysmal. The only reason we skirted by this year is because our defense was actually elite. So I say that all to say AJ Brown should be disgusted with himself, as everyone should be after this performance, but I think the Eagles would be foolish to even consider trading him.
Walker, what do you think about that?
I do agree.
I think Sirianni should go personally.
No,
I don't think he has a good hold in that locker room. I just think
I disagree.
I don't know. From my perspective, when you see AJ Brown drop a crucial third down, when Puka dropped that ball, right? McVay goes over to him, starts gassing him up. He's like, "You're that guy. Pick your head up. You're gonna get the next one. You're gonna score the game-winning touchdown." Stuff like that. Sirianni runs over to AJ Brown and starts barking at him and yelling at him. That's not coaching. That's not leadership. Yeah. That's awful. That's not gonna inspire confidence. Your player. That's gonna get him pissed off.
I will say though, I think it definitely has something to do with different coaching styles. I do think Sirianni is kind of I think we're a demand excellence team, especially coming off of a Super Bowl where we were stellar all year. Saquon playing at his peak, AJ Brown had an amazing season. You've kind of come to expect that perfection and those, consistently catching those uncontested balls, especially across the middle. So it's I do kind of see what you're saying, where it's not really leadership. You're kind of, getting down on him when he's already down on himself. But at the same time, you do expect that excellence. And as soon as you start to let up on it and be saying hey, it's okay, we'll get the next one. If they don't feel that bad about dropping it, they're not going to feel that bad about dropping the next one. Mm-hmm. So I do think that that's part of it. And also, not to say that this was entirely AJ Brown's fault. The whole offense played poorly. Jalen Hurts, it's so sad because when I was on this podcast months ago, I said that at the end of the season, Jalen Hurts would be a definitive top 5 quarterback, and I can't confidently say that anymore. It's so sad. 20 for 35, 168 yards, 1 passing touchdown. He ran 5 times for 14 yards. You did not play well.
Zach Wilson stat line.
Saquon over 100 yards on the ground, I can't really be that mad about that. But I think the play calling leaves a lot to be desired. We're not creative in the intermediate ball. You run something short on first down, don't get a lot of yards. The second down play should not be a screen pass caught 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. We need a 4 to 5 yard play to get us in a third and short, third and medium. I think the hardest part of the season, and especially down the stretch of this Niners game, was getting into third and long situations. And, the defense knows it, you know it, you need a bigger play, and you have the guys that can make that play, but, when they know it's coming, you can't get creative with it. And, there's not a lot going on. But, however, I think you mentioned this when we were just chatting before the podcast, the creativity in the red zone I've liked a lot. Being able to run different stuff out of the tush-push formation, you can actually tush-push it. You could run it with Saquon. A lot of times this season they've done that kind of turnaround, hand the ball off to Goddard in motion. That works all the time. So I'm not mad about the red zone stuff. It's just getting to the red zone. And, also the Niners are pretenders. The Niners are not doing. They're going to get blown out by the Seahawks. Brock Purdy's a fraud.
Yeah,
Brock Purdy's not a fraud.
That's just like a personal.
Personal take. Does everyone have this take?
Personal take.
No,
Brock Purdy's a fraud.
I was agreeing with the Seahawks. Well, I don't think.
No, I think
the Niners are going to win.
I think the Niners are going to win.
I think I'm just salty that.
I think the Niners are going to win. I think you are salty.
I'm salty that we lost to a banged up Niners team.
Yeah.
I mean, also like Demarcus Robinson's catching 6 balls for 111 yards and a touchdown. Like Quinyon, brother.
Take a look in the mirror.
They lost Kittle in the
and he
first or
hit a
second
generational
quarter.
year, Quinyon Mitchell.
and then they just replaced Kittle with Juszczyk.
Yeah, he had 2 picks after that, so he kind of made up.
I don't want to
for
say
Jake Tonjes too next.
I don't want to harp on the defense. I don't think it's a defensive problem. I just think there's a lot to be desired on the offensive side of the ball.
It's a cycle that I'm thinking is reaching a good stage. But as much as I'd love to have our own podcast and talk about the Eagles the entire time, I'm sure we'd like to get on. Maybe we could touch on one more playoff game here, as the other two weren't really contested whatsoever. Let's talk on Bills Jaguars. Another game I incorrectly predicted, as I tend to do. I really did feel good about this Jaguars team, and I have some strong personal feelings for the way the Buffalo Bills play football, namely in how they tried to ban the tush push, yet they exploit it more than any other team in the league by the most unbelievable margin. But I feel like this was such a missed opportunity for the Jaguars to host a playoff game against a team, especially like you talk about teams in like Florida going to play in the cold, teams in the cold going to play in Florida. Like you missed such an amazing opportunity. And I just cannot help but be disappointed at this, even though it's like the Bills. Like the Bills were obviously the more practice team. I don't know if you guys feel the same as me, but like I am left feeling really, really disappointed because I felt like the Jaguars could have gone on a run to the AFC Championship or even the Super Bowl.
I don't know if you saw the interview after with like Liam Cohen, and the one reporter said, "You hold your head up high, young man." Like I think that's really what he needs to hear.
He's incredible.
I think he's
a great coach.
I think him or Shanahan should win Coach of the Year. It might be him. I think maybe it could be Shanahan.
I think Shanahan deserves it.
But like
turning
Liam
your record
Cohen
around from 4-13, 13-4.
Right. Yeah. Very impressive. There was a lot of talk as well about just that journalist commenting that in the post-game presser, like whether you should or whatever. Like I saw something where Dan Patrick wasn't. But like I think that's exactly what he needs to hear. There's not that many like additions I could see them making just because like I don't know. They could totally go out and get like another receiver, but they already have like 3 talented ones. They have
4.
4, yeah, exactly.
Parker
Shout
Washington.
out Parker Washington.
Who is better than George Pickens? That's a topic for another day.
A down year for Brian Thomas altogether.
Yeah.
It was tough to see that, kind of not bounce, whatever's the opposite of bounce back, bounce down.
Regression.
Thank you. Regression. Yeah, that was tough.
So we're just gonna brush past the fact you just said Parker Washington is better than George.
Because you know it's right.
We'll address this another time.
No, when I was saying 3 receivers, like that's not counting Travis Hunter, who they have back next year. Like that's how they got like all the way down.
I feel like they shift him more to corner.
They've got it. They've got it right.
Even then, he's like a significant performer for them, and that defense
can still be a gadget.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
it's tough though because he looked so good as a receiver.
He did.
But
you can draw plays
they
for
need
him,
him
but
at corner.
He's more important at corner because you get guys like Brandon Cooks, Keon Coleman, both getting big catches downfield. You need someone athletic who's going to be able to break that up, get an arm in there and just, make a play on third down or something like that. They don't have an athletic corner like that, like Travis Hunter. He's one of the most athletic players in the league, I would reckon. And I think one thing that's I think getting overblown in this entire game is, people are looking at, fingers to point at with the Jaguars. And I guess the one would be they probably didn't get Jacoby Myers involved enough. I mean, he was playing great for them leading up to the playoffs, and then he comes out and he has 1 catch on 4 targets. I mean,
Trevor Lawrence, 2 picks.
2 picks, but one of them was not his fault.
I think one of them was tipped or
something.
I mean,
Josh Allen in his playoff career versus QBs not named Mahomes or Joe Burrow is 8-1, and that one loss was to the Texans, like the first time he made the playoffs against Deshaun Watson when that team was really good. People underestimate how good Josh Allen is in the playoffs. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like at least for me, the Bills are my Super Bowl pick purely because they just have like the QB, the guy who's going to go down the field. Like when they went down 24-20. In my head, I was like, they're 100% going to score. Actually, I bet them, but yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like I just trust Josh Allen to get down the field and make that play, and he's done that against the Chiefs multiple times. It's just Mahomes can also do that.
Yeah,
and those are the 2 quarterbacks in the league that I can look at and be like, those guys are going to get me down the field, get me a touchdown. I would put Stafford in that category as well, but that's a whole other conference, and I think because of that, people are going to, look for like, oh, Jaguars are first-round exits despite this historic season. They came up against probably the worst possible team that they could have. I think if they play the Patriots, I think they win. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but the Patriots did not really impress me in that Chargers win.
What about the defense, though?
I mean, look, the defense looks great.
Which has been like that factor the entire year. This is like, I kind of want to talk about the Patriots game. It's just like every year the Patriots have won in the Super Bowl, they just had a solid like top 10 defense. Nothing like insane or crazy, but like could definitely perform. They won them that 2019 Super Bowl. They do not win that 2019 Super Bowl without the defense. It's completely different now, but someone like Kayvon Chason or like Jack Gibbons, who has been great for them this year. Marcus Jones, who we kind of underrate because he's just within that defense. Christian Gonzalez,
definitely not underrated.
No, not underrated. I'm not saying individually he's underrated. He's a Pro Bowler.
I have a counterpoint.
Robert Spillane, just such a deep defense that can
counterpoint. Justin Herbert just sucks. What about that? He's out of my top 10. Now I've defended him for a while.
Justin Herbert
not up there.
Justin Herbert has the same amount of playoff touchdown passes as Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
It's factual. They both have 2 playoff touchdown passes.
Listen,
so he has 1 more than Joe Mixon.
That would, and if Joe Mixon has 1, that would be.
He got one in the Super Bowl. Shout out Joe Mixon.
Couple of things about the Bills, real quick. I kind of want to push back a little bit on your Super Bowl take, Casey. Just because the one thing that worries me about the Bills is that, in my opinion, they have the same issue the Packers have. They have a great tight end room, dual-headed Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. That's awesome. James Cook, one of the elitist backs in the league. Yeah. Josh Allen, obviously, is Josh Allen. Nothing to be said there. But you have a wide receiver issue. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Brandon Cooks, that cannot be a sustainable wide receiver room. So that's kind of something I'm excited for the Bills to see in the offseason of, who is the guy they're going to go get to be the number 1 piece. And that's kind of worries me because I'm thinking, what happens if you count on Josh Allen to have an amazing game every game, but what happens when he doesn't put up a great game? What happens when he has that once in a while not awesome performance? Who's the other guys on offense that can carry that load?
It's just James Cook.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. I definitely see where you're coming from, and they have that issue worse than the Packers. Packers have a good wide receiver room. Bills have like a bottom 3 receiver room. Yeah. I'd say in the entire league. It's terrible. But it's really like bad. You said, they have Josh Allen.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, that is what will take them to the Super Bowl. I mean, even when they had Stephon Diggs, I mean, yes, that was when Josh Allen was way younger in his career, but they couldn't get it done then either. And I know it was against the Chiefs, but I mean, I don't know. I just trust that the greats get it done. I mean, Mahomes won a Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster as his wide receiver 1.
Another thing I'm interested to see the rest of your guys' opinion on is, this is first time in a while that we've seen a Josh Allen in the playoffs. No Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. So I think the narrative going into this game was if they're a first-round exit at the hands of the Jaguars, obviously no one's going to be out here saying Josh Allen's not an elite
McDermott would be gone.
But where does that leave the Josh Allen narrative of, okay, you waited all this time, the Burrow, those guys are kind of your kryptonite in the playoffs. First playoffs not having them, they got it done. But if they lose, if they don't even make a Super Bowl appearance, are there questions swirling in the offensive room?
That's an amazing place to set the bar
Yeah.
because
Oh, Super Bowl.
They come at the AFC. It seems like the Bills always make the AFC Championship and lose to the Chiefs. You remove the Chiefs from that equation. If you don't make the Super Bowl, this playoff was a disappointment, no matter what it is. Now, I know a lot of haters would love to see the Bills make the playoffs and lose. Like I have a lot of AFC East friends.
Hey man,
not just
I would love to as well, but
I not for the Bills fans, but for the Bills players, something needs to change, and I think you alluded to that McDermott is someone who, you know.
I don't think McDermott's
be
as
gone.
good of a coach
No.
Yes.
as he's let
Yes.
off to be.
I don't think so.
I agree too.
But
I
like,
think
I think at least they can sleep a little bit easy because they got the Broncos. I think the Broncos are like one of the worst 1 seeds like of all time.
A
They,
long time.
I
just to put this in perspective, they have the 3rd most punts in the entire league.
sure, but like that defense is
It's
disgusting.
elite.
The
It is.
definition of find a way to win.
Yeah.
But like
Find a
you know,
way.
like we just talked about, same thing with the Bears.
It might not be sustainable.
That's not always how it goes. And then you come up in the
then
playoffs,
but
it's a different ball.
The Bears did win. Ball does not lie.
We'll see. I honestly, I hate the Bills. I really do. But I think they're going to dog walk the Broncos.
I think
I'm
so
not gonna
too.
lie.
I think
I
they're smoke.
I think in all 4 games, I might be in the minority here. In all 4 games.
Do you think the Broncos are going to beat the Bills?
I think the Broncos are going to beat Bills.
Oh.
I kind of, if I was unbiased, I think the Texans are going to win. But like,
I think the Texans are gonna win.
I'm going to be rooting for the Patriots, especially. I have the PFF like O-line rankings pulled up right now. Texans have the 27th best ranked O-line. Their center is our center from last year, Jake Andrews, and like the
got
Chargers have the
Ariante
30th.
Ursary.
Ariante Ursary, who had like 3 different false starts yesterday.
I don't even hate the Broncos shout over the Bills because like I was saying, I think if there was ever a game that Josh Allen could get not exposed, but like just have a subpar game, it would be against this Broncos defense. You know, we already talked about how their wide receiver core is, I can't even say depleted because they're not hurt. It's just bad. And it's like Pat Surtain's on the other side, you know, Nick Bonito and linebacker. Like, it's a great defense. So I think offensively, it has the potential to be a test. I think the only way the Broncos win is if they keep it low scoring and make it a defensive battle.
I think Pat Surtain should shadow Brandon Cooks because they need to test him. They need to test him.
He's
playing.
35.
He's new to the league.
Crazy ring chasing.
You're welcome to the NFL moment.
They definitely need to.
Yeah, and then
Check them a little bit.
I guess looking at Texans Pats, and actually just to kind of wrap up here, I want to go around and kind of look forward at these 4 matchups. And I guess if you start with Texans Pats, my take is that Nico Collins is healthy. I think the Texans take it in a low scoring game. If not, I don't think they can.
Is he going to play?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good take because
well, it wasn't like carted off because of like
he's
I think
had
a
so many
serious
head
injury.
stuff going on this year.
Was it not? Was it a head injury?
He was concussed.
Yeah, he was
earlier this
concussed
season.
earlier this year because me and Alex both had him in fantasy. We were doing some fantasy watching in our room.
He might be made of glass. This dude is injured like 3 times.
Yeah,
Fragile.
but when he's out there, his big talent is getting
So
like
good.
Shades
6
of Anthony
targets
Davis.
in the first quarter, and
then nothing else.
nothing else,
Nothing else.
and they're just
Yep.
getting hurt.
Tell me about it. So I'm personally going to go with the Texans. I think Nico Collins will force his way out there, and that at least takes Christian Gonzalez out of the picture.
Yeah.
And I just trust this Texans defense because, I mean, this defense, it's like they run the same. I saw something. They run like this. They don't like scheme their defense at all. Like I saw some stat, like the Chiefs, for example, they have some sort of like hidden scheme like on every defensive play. 99% of the time, they're, you know, giving a fake look. Texans are 1%. 1% of the time, they're covering what defense they're going to run. It's ridiculous. They just run like cover 2 man every single play.
Beautiful.
And no one can do anything.
Our guys versus your guys.
Great
Yeah,
D-line, great
that's all it is.
secondary, Petrie, Lassiter.
I love that
like,
defense.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch,
Stingley.
honestly.
Will Anderson on D-line.
Oh
like,
my God. Will Anderson is.
Will Anderson is
with
a monster.
With these amounts of players, you don't even need to disguise your look. I mean,
Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter on the edges. Like,
Will
what
Anderson
are you supposed to
versus
do?
Your O lineman, like my guy
I didn't
versus
say Derek
your guy.
Stingley either, and he's an All-Pro.
Stingley,
Yeah, it's like
Petrie,
We forgot to mention
Shahir is
the
great.
Mari
All-Pro
Lassiter.
cornerback, and that's just how deep the Texans'
Caden
defense
Bullock,
is.
the safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had a pick 6 last night.
I mean, there's not a single hole in that entire defense at every single level, every facet of it. They're incredible. And that's just why, look, I think Drake May is an outstanding quarterback. And that hurts me to say because, you know, there's obviously this whole agenda going on about how the Patriots won 3 Super Bowls, rebuilt, drafted their not right QB, fired their initial head coach after Belichick, hired a new head coach, drafted a new quarterback, all in the same time the Jets have been rebuilding.
Yeah.
But my one thing, and I've been saying this the whole year, the Patriots right now are just simply ahead of schedule. They're an upstart team who had a great regular season. I think Drake May coming up against probably the best defense he's ever faced off against. I think he's going to struggle, and I think the Texans are going to squeak this out. That's just me.
And there's nothing to be sad about there.
No, I don't think there is. I think I was telling Alex earlier this week, like I made rankings out of 10 of how good it would be for the players and how good it would be for the fans for every team.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots came out with like a 4 out of 10 for the players and like a 0 out of 10 for the fans. We don't deserve another Super Bowl. It'd be cool if we get the 7th and then we have the most Super Bowls of
That
any
would
team
not
in the
be cool.
NFL.
That would not be
That would
cool.
be
Okay.
terrible.
Would not
I think
be
this is
cool.
by far the toughest game to predict.
Yeah.
The Texans honestly didn't really I wasn't impressed by the Texans.
They did fumble 4 times in the first half as well, and a pick.
That's not going to happen.
That's
it's
not
like-
going to happen again.
That
They
is
have-
true, but it's also I get
Kill
their
'em with
defense
field
is
goals,
their defense is
honestly.
elite, but I just haven't been impressed by the Aaron Rodgers led Steelers offense all year long. So I think this is definitely the closest one. And off of your guys' point about what do they deserve and stuff, I think if you're a Patriots fan and in the Patriots organization, you're playing with house money at this point.
Yeah.
You've done what you needed
Absolutely.
to do. Anything greater than this is just a benefit. I couldn't agree more with Casey. They're ahead of schedule. They're clearly a contender, play a severe playoff
Yeah.
powerhouse, and only 2-3 years after you're trying to find your quarterback.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to shift us over to I think we'll find the most polarizing opinions here with Bears-Rams.
Right.
I'm taking the Bears.
I'm also taking the Bears.
Are you guys?
I'm on the right.
I'm taking the Rams.
Oh, my God,
See, I
it's
figured
funny.
this was how it was going to be. I figured this was how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think just the Bears at home, I just would not want
Yes.
to be there. Those fans are crazy.
I think
Those fans are nuts.
you
And
know
now they're
how-
riding this high of coming back. They have all the confidence in the entire world. I'd say they're also kind of playing with house money.
You know how
They had not crazy expectations coming into this year, and now they've exceeded them, and they are just playing with everything on the table. And I think they're going to lay out everything. They're not, you look at Matt LaFleur last game. He's had these past playoff failures. He was coaching that game to not lose, while the Bears were playing to win. The Bears always play to win, no matter what the score is, and I think that's what sets them apart.
I was gonna say, you know how in the Steelers game there was that one minister that sprayed the holy water in the end zone? I think there's some sort of divine intervention going on at Soldier Field that makes them continue to win these kind of games. And why should it stop now?
I see. I mean,
There's some witch doctor who's trapped in the depths of Chicago. And
there's not a single piece of analytical or even matchup based criteria that leads me to say that the Bears should win. But it just feels like their run isn't done.
It's just magical.
really
They're the
feels
good,
like
better,
that.
best Bears. They're just gonna get it done.
Do you want to?
Yeah,
Power
I
friendship, boys.
I agree with most of what you before you make your conclusion. Obviously, picking the game, I agree with most of what you say. But I'm the one who sides with instead of it can't end now. I think it has to end as soon as humanly possible.
So fun.
When will it end?
Yeah.
How can it continue?
We say that every week.
I think the Rams are going to get out early. I think the Bears are going to catch up as they always do. But I think they're going to find that the Rams are a lot more formidable against these kinds of comebacks as compared to a team like the Packers, which, prone to collapses. We've seen it before. They're very polarizing, especially in the playoffs. They dropped 48 on the Cowboys. Now they're getting 25-point comebacks dropped on their dome.
I almost feel like it's kind of a similar situation with the Josh Allen take of can you continuously put up these stellar performances? What happens when you don't come out and play your best? And I think it's kind of this. I kind of feel the same way about the Bears. It seems like they always have. I don't want to say help from the other team, but the other team not playing their part is contributing. Packers not putting up next to no points in the second half. Yeah. When they played the Eagles, we just were not playing at our best on offense either. I mean, they deserved to beat us, but we didn't play our best offense either. So it's kind of I kind of agree with what Alex is saying in the sense of how many times can they continue to pull it out at the end? How many last second comebacks can there be before?
Yeah.
There
Before
will
you're
be
down
more.
2 scores with 2 minutes left, and then all of a sudden it's not possible anymore. So
One more. I think.
I would add one
They're
more.
not going to the Super Bowl.
I would add one
They got
more point
more.
here. The Bears off defense, I'll give them credit. They've been terrific with turnovers. They are like the Deron Bland of defenses, though. If they're not getting turnovers, they are toast. That is what
I think-
that is
yeah.
what I will say.
that's one thing.
That defense is porous.
against Puka
Yeah,
Nacua,
dude,
Devontae,
their front four is awful.
Yeah,
Their
I love
front four is so bad.
I love Jalen Johnson, but
Montez
they,
Sweat played a
yeah,
great game.
They have no answer.
Montez Sweat played a great game, but I think the Rams' key to winning this, and they are pretty hesitant usually to go to this. They need to pound the rock. I don't think they should be passing as much as they have. I think Jalen Johnson might give Puka fits. I've seen a lot of stuff recently about Puka actually not being that good of a route runner, and he's been getting called a linebacker merchant. And people are saying he can't create separation versus cornerbacks and just makes insane catches.
He'll show,
And I'm bought in.
he'll show everybody.
I'm here for the Twitter propaganda. I'm in. I don't think Puka's going to do as much as he normally does against Jalen
All right.
Johnson. I think he's going to have under 80 yards.
Oh,
Wow.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Write it down.
We'll be talking about
It's
that
risky
one next
because
week.
It's on camera.
next week.
He definitely there's no
that
doubt in my mind that he averages like the most yards per playoff game for any player in like probably NFL history. I feel like every game Puka plays in the playoffs, he has like at least 120 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, how many did he have against the Eagles last year? Like 180 or something?
They ate a dumb amount.
Something ridiculous.
Ridiculous,
In the snow
right?
as well.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was
In the
insane.
snow as
Bring,
well.
bring me to, that game was awesome.
That was an awesome.
That was probably the best, one of the best like non-Super Bowl playoff games I've witnessed.
Yeah, no, I agree.
was electric.
And then just looking forward, just for the sake of time, Niners Seahawks. I think we might be a little bit split here.
Yeah, let's give some quick picks so we can get to our last segment. But
Niners.
personally, so you're taking Niners.
I'm taking
the
Niners.
Seahawks.
See, I
What, look at this.
It's split again.
Whoa.
So maybe we'll have to have some feature guests, same guests next week, and
Yeah.
maybe revisit some of our.
My rationale purely is just playoff experience. That's it. The Niners win,
Yeah.
CMC.
and they have.
Brock Purdy.
Banged up. No Kittle.
But
But
they're
they've been
banged
able to
up
get
every
it done
year.
no matter
They're
what.
banged up every year.
It happened this whole season.
I'm with Ryan here. I think the Eagles were so truly fraudulent. I think we would have lost. I think we would have lost to the Packers. I think we lost to the Panthers game.
I think if the Seahawks offense comes to play their game, it's not going to be close.
Sam Darnold. Well, I'm sorry, Casey. Sam Darnold would have, in my opinion, would have to lose the Seahawks the game.
I mean,
Could happen.
look,
Could happen.
I love Sam Darnold.
I'd agree with that.
But like every time people have I've asked people what's your prediction? Like, I think the Seahawks are gonna win. I'm like, all right, look me dead in the eyes. Tell me Sam Darnold's gonna win the Super Bowl. You can't do it. You can't do it. And then lastly, Bills Broncos. What do you guys think? I'm taking Bills.
Final pick is Bills.
I'm taking the Broncos.
I will go Broncos.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're the one seed for a reason. They're one seed.
Yeah.
No, we're right,
they're not.
Casey.
They'll find a way.
They'll all
No,
see.
they're not.
They'll all
find a
see.
way.
No, they're not. Remember the
All right.
Titans were the 1 seed 3 years ago?
That's true. Titans have got closer to a Super Bowl with Derrick Henry than the Ravens have.
Yeah. And we haven't been on in a while. I just want to say I'm very impressed with how Cam Ward closed out the season. Yeah. I think he's gonna be great.
Shout out Cam Ward. He's a great player.
Give him some help.
I hope they get him a good coach.
Get
We'll
the man
probably
some
do
help.
should we do coaching carousel next week?
I think we could do it maybe like in a quick rapid fire style. Maybe
Yeah.
not as long
Okay.
as
Some
we
of
were
those
hoping.
jobs
Because
might be filled in a
It
week.
gives us a good pivot point too.
We could cover
Talking
some of
about
the
Titans.
bigger names because
But I think
no one wants the Cardinals job.
Do you want
No one
me?
wants
Do you want me to go through though what I have like
Yes, I actually
prediction
would.
by
I
prediction
would
because
like
I made them all. Okay, so Cardinals we can start with. It's usually we start with. I think that's pretty consensus agreement is that they're going to hire Kubiak.
Okay.
That would
I
be
think that's
good
what's
fit.
been reported. That's their top pick. Same division. He's the
think-
top coordinator being, courted. Crazy, talented offense
Yeah.
with, Kyler can come back, Michael Wilson, Marv,
They should
McBride.
keep Kyler.
Yeah, I
should
think
keep Kyler.
Yeah, they're going to.
He's
and
not
I
the
think
problem.
I think he's a good fit for that. His dad was a great coach and led the Broncos to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Could have done more.
Yeah.
If not for the
as
health
much as
problems.
I'd love that for them, I just think they're going to get outbid by a better team. Like
No one wants
maybe
to go
this
to Cardinals,
segues
man.
into whatever your pick is for the Ravens. I see Kubiak as a better choice for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if Kubiak is stuck between Kyler Murray and you guys know I'm the biggest Michael Wilson lover on the planet, but even as bad as Lamar's supporting cast outside of Derrick Henry is, you can't look Lamar Jackson in the eyes and say, no, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett now.
Yeah.
But
especially with having Robert Saleh already in your system as a defensive coordinator, it's proven NFL head coaching experience, albeit did not have a great stint with Casey's Jets. But you can't put all of that
Wait, who?
on him. Robert Saleh.
Yeah, he's
There's
he's
just
being
so much
predicted
going.
in
There
a
was
lot
just
of
so
lack
much going
coaching.
on.
I
I wasn't
don't
the
think-
biggest fan of him.
No, I don't think.
But the thing is, you have to
No
all this
franchise
stuff with the Jets.
quarterback,
You just gotta bring in an experienced coach who can bring in an established culture and established resume. They keep bringing in these first year guys, trying to take these swings on young coordinators. It doesn't work because then they don't have a hole in the locker room by the end of the year. It happens every time.
So-
Saleh was the same way.
for the Ravens, originally when it came out, I was like, maybe they could get, or they have Chuck Pagano in their coaching room. He used to be the Colts
Not know
coach. Yes,
that.
he came back to coaching.
Really?
But I think that's a little bit too big of a risk because it's been a decade since he coached. So I have them getting Vance Joseph, who's the Broncos DC right now, is the Broncos
that.
coach. He's has notoriety, has head coaching experience. He could move into that role. I think they're interviewing him. I'm not entirely sure. I think Todd Monken could be out too because he's currently interviewing for jobs.
If he gets a head
sounds-
coach,
And then
if
I
he gets
have
a head
him-
coaching job.
I have him going to the Browns,
I think they're
which
looking
could
at
be
Cliff Kingsbury as
disgusting.
well.
oh,
But the
You hate Todd Monken.
yes, I know, but
I hate Todd
it's
Monken. He's
more
an idiot.
because you know what I did for these? I did who is the organization going to pick more than what the best fit. They
Perfect
hired
fit for the
Freddie
Browns.
Kitchens a couple years ago, and that was the
Kitchens.
worst. One of the worst head coaching hires I've ever seen, and so I could see them. Yes,
they should send Ted. They should
Oh
send
my
Ted Monken
God.
to Cancun. They should.
yes. Or to Cleveland.
Send him somewhere where he'll never be seen again.
And then
okay.
So I'm pretty bullish on this take. Actually, I'm gonna jump ahead of your take. I think Brian Flores is gonna go to the Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's gonna take.
Yes,
that job.
when I made these, the Steelers wasn't out yet, and so I think I think the Steelers like have like. All the other teams have a head start on the Steelers, so they've already been interviewing candidates and they've already like planned on some stuff. Right. So I think that could give them the disadvantage. But I think Brian Flores is a great coach. Like he was great with the Patriots, great with the Dolphins, and then they kind of just gave up on him.
He was with the Steelers too, right?
Defensive minded.
Yeah, he was with the Steelers
right after the Dolphins.
and then
I think he was
really proved himself with the Vikings last year. Had a great defense, not as much this year. So I think that they're willing.
Their defense was unbelievable this year. I know the stats weren't the same, but
they were always on the field.
I think
that is true.
I think Brian Flores is the best coach you could hire in this cycle. So that's why I'm not so sure about this, because I think he's going to have every team throwing their name in the ring.
I agree, because
so good.
I think like I've seen like reports that it's like pretty set in stone that I think Tomlin's going to take a year and do media.
Yeah,
I think he's like taking a full year off.
Yeah, I can see that, because I can't really see him. I can't see him in any other position, not in like a prestigious
Plus being with one organization for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Where do you guys think Harbaugh goes?
I think
Harbaugh, it's Giants or Falcons.
I think Harbaugh's and Giants.
Yeah,
they were the first to like Schefter reported it like right away. I think that makes sense. It's like a high prestige.
He can handle the big media market.
Yeah, New York. Like it seems like, and like it's a good opportunity. They have Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
They have like Scadabo is healthy, is good. Neighbors being healthy would be good for them. I have a lot of mock drafts have them drafting a receiver, which I think is crazy. I think they have much deeper team needs than just receiver.
If Wan'Dale goes,
if Wan'Dale leaves, they should not go receiver in the first round. By God, if they do that, they're stupid.
Yeah,
but I think they should let Wan'Dale walk. Keep that cap space and draft, another slot guy in the second or third round. Right. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's a pretty decent wide receiver class.
Yeah,
coming out this year.
Very good.
Yes, there's like two.
It's deep. It's deep at least.
It's very deep. There's the guy from Washington. I forget what his name is, but he's good.
I know what you're talking about. Either way, I think that's
Boston,
the best.
I think
that's the best landing spot for Harbaugh.
And then my last three. So I have the Titans going with Raheem Morris. I think Raheem Morris could be a pick that like a team that needs someone to like improve their situation a little bit. I mean, he went 8-9 this year. I think of all there's some coaches on here who like have worse records. So did Harbaugh also went 8-9.
I have a different pick, but keep running through them so we can attack them all.
The Raiders, I have them going for Matt Nagy because they make horrible head coaching decisions.
Go to the
so
next,
they're going to
one.
go with someone who sucks.
Go to the next one.
And then the Dolphins, finally, I have them going with Jeff Hafley.
Who's that?
He's the Packers DC. They need help on defense. I loved him when he was the coach of BC. And he was they like made 3 bowl games in 4 years. They were 6-6 all of those 3 years, but they made 3 bowl games and they won the only one they were able to participate in.
Hear me out.
So I think I think, and I could see the Dolphins going with something like that. That's like a little unorthodox because they went with Mike McDaniel.
I think I have a good prediction for the Dolphins.
Hit it.
So I think that there's this whole stigma about the Dolphins are soft. Brian Flores called them soft on his way out.
Yeah.
Said Tua was ass basically, and
was he wrong?
No, he was not wrong. Tua sucks. Tua sucks and will never start for a team again.
In fact, not wrong.
Anyways, I think what they're going to do is they're going to kind of lean into that. Like, we need to bring in an experienced coach. We need someone who's going to take control of the locker room. And I think,
oh boy,
this leads them to the one and only Mike McCarthy. And I'll hit it for myself.
Interesting.
It sounds ludicrous.
He's in a lot of
It's not a good idea, but I think they're going to do it.
You know who else was in a lot of coaching talks? Jason Garrett.
Yes.
Who was the coach before him.
Yes. Oh my God. Wait, it could be him. Yes. I think it's going to be Jason Garrett, actually. I'm switching my prediction.
Yeah.
I just don't see the Dolphins making a decision like that. I think they're the kind of team that would hire a coordinator.
They're
They're just so in the middle. Like they have so much they need to figure out. Like,
and their fans think that they're like one of those franchises that will do it.
Yeah.
And they're just not.
No, probably not.
Who's Don Shula's son? He's a coordinator as well.
Chris Shula.
Yeah.
He-
ESPN
he's
has
a good
them
pick.
having him because it's like the history
he's a
of
great
it and
pick.
like
He's the
Don
Rams.
Shula,
He's the Rams DC.
Maybe Don Shula's grandson actually because he was the coach in the 70s, right? Whatever.
His defense isn't that good though. Well,
not as good.
Either way, we rattled off some coaching predictions for you guys. Walked through the playoff games. We went a little bit longer than usual just because, it's been a few weeks. Give us a little bit of slack. We had a lot to discuss. But thank you guys. For anyone who's tuning in, stay tuned for next week's episode. And like I said at the start, you can find everything you need at GWU SBA on Instagram. That's GWU SBA. A special thanks to Ryan and Alex for hopping on the pod today. I hope you guys come back next week because we have a lot of takes we're going to need to address.
We might have to come back to revisit some stuff.
We might need to. We might need to.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, no, of course. And thank you everyone watching. Again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.